Hey traders, Lance Polito here. Let's go over the top option orders of the day. Number one, let's start with SQ Square because we saw massive call buyers of the July 23rd weekly expiration this Friday, 260 calls, around 270 this morning. We noted it in the Blitz market color. Bang, 20,000 of those calls. And on the last Blitz alert where we took some massive profits today, CGC 50%, KO calls from earnings 330%, IGT 50%, and IPG a loser to be transparent and honest. But we made note, Square seen 20,000 of the 255 weekly calls, and guess what? Those calls, how do you say, is it to the moon? Is that what the people say nowadays? But these calls, look at this. They went from about 278 from where the order hit, now 760. Got mentioned on CNBC halftime report. Some massive gains, and we sent that out around 10 o'clock, 10:20. So up in here, those calls are up almost a double intraday. Gotta love that. Let's also look at some order flow for earnings. Cliff. Oh, baby. The Cleveland Cliff, they report. We noted this in yesterday's video, so I hope you're following along. And if you're not a Blitz member, we update the Blitz market color throughout the day in real time where we talk about these orders. And we've been noting big Cliff calls. Yesterday, they bought the AUG 21, 23 bull call spreads. Those August calls are already up very nicely from about 110 to 181, about 185. And today they came and bought the SEP 23 calls, about 1,700 of them. They bought more, 1,500 of them. Then they bought more of the August 22.5 calls. So big Cleveland Cliff call buyers ahead of earnings. I believe they report after the bell today or tomorrow morning. Let's take a look here. Before the open, mañana. Las Vegas Sands, LVS, these call buyers came in strong yesterday and then strong today ahead of earnings. They bought the weekly 53 calls, the weekly 49 calls, and yesterday the weekly 48 calls. So big bets in Vegas. And oh yeah, IGT 50% in 2 days on those call options. I love the gambling sector. Boyd Gaming, Vegas, MGM, Win. I think you all see some upside in that sector. Lastly, we'll leave you with CX. Big calls. They had some big bets in CX a few weeks ago in the AUG 9 calls, and you see the open interest at 50,000 on them. To be fair and to be transparent, because no one reads order flow like Lance. I mean, when you've been doing this every day, all day, all you do, you know how to read flow. They did sell stock, a common stock position tied to the August 9 calls being bought. I don't like orders like that because you never know an institution's stock position. We can't go through their holdings and say, hey, Bill Ackman, what's your stock position on CX? And he'll be like, oh, well, let me tell you, I own 1.5 million shares. We'll never know. But in the options market, we can track that because every option order is time stamped and approved, and we can go under time and sales to see it. There's no dark pools. There's no, I don't know what people say, black box, all that marketing crap gimmick. No. They're all time stamped. But today they came in. Not only in CX did they buy August calls that capture the earnings event, the August 8th, but they came in big boy size, and they started sweeping the SEP 8 calls around 60 to 65 cents today, actually 65 cents. And they're currently around 80 cents right now. As CX, this is a little itty bitty stock. It's only about $8 or so. More Cliff calls coming in. Oh, these degenerates, they want Cliff to move up. And you can see a massive move here in CX with the big call flow. That name starts to report earnings here. It looks to be like at the end of the month on 7/29. So some top order flow of the day. Oh yeah, I can't forget about my Pfizer because I'm already printing money in Pfizer as we've seen some correlation or some rotation, I should say, into the COVID names with the whole new Delta variant crap going on here. Pfizer seeing big December 42 calls and August 6, 40.5 calls that capture the earnings event. Keep your eye, though. You don't want to just follow blindly, right? You want to know your proper risk management. And one thing I am keeping an eye on is that $, TRIN, the Richard Arms Index, or as most traders know it, as the trend index. It is below 0.6. Anything below 0.6, that trend cannot stay there. That trend has to go higher. Therefore, the S&P should start. If that trend rallies, the S&P usually moves inverse to the trend, and that trend moves higher. That S&P should be moving lower. So use proper risk management on your positions. Maybe if you're looking at calls, maybe spread them out into long call spreads. Look at some hedging, as I always like to hedge. You never want to get caught with your pants down in trading, because at any time the market could go against you, and that's something you don't have control over. So keep your eye on the market eternals, ADD line, NYSE trend, the Richard Arms Index, and probably number one, the NYSE tick, $TICK. Look for those positive 800 ticks institutional buying, negative 800 ticks institutional selling, and that will be your gauge of where you can trade, especially intraday if you're looking at the SPY or overall market direction. I can't find the stop recording button.